Evening. This video documentation is in regards to the HID components that you already have pre-installed, and also regarding to the new HID decoder that our vendor supplied for you to test out in regards to the compatibility issue that you've been experiencing since the initial process of your order. So just want to really quickly take the time to go over in regards to the connections for the HID components. I understand for you it should be straightforward, being the case that all the things plug, with the exception of watching out for the polarity for the ballast mount and also the 9006 connectors, which is also the ballast mount and then these two ends. However, being the case that you've already kind of went past that in regards to having everything working, and that the only concern that you have is just the driver left side or the one headlight side intermittently shutting off every time you hit a bump. What that tells to me is that you might be running into a connectivity issue with any of the connections, mainly dealing with the 9006 connections, being the case that when you hit the bump, if you have certain HID components such as the ballast or even the HID decoder zip tied against your chassis, it might be the case where it tugs on the 9006 connector, that it might have that brief moment of disconnection so that the bulb turns off. I'm assuming that every time it turns on that you're able to kick back on. If that's not the case, that once it turns off that you are no longer having the low beam on the one headlight side, please let us know so that I can be more helpful in regards to how to rectify that concern. So in regards to the report that you're letting us know that the one headlight side intermittently shuts off every time you hit a bump, I just want to make sure to go over the connections with you. The male and female connections for the HID bulb and ballast are relatively straightforward. I don't think you can get wrong with that, being the case that one male and female goes together, whereas the other one also connects together. So I'm not really too concerned in regards to this. The internal 8.7 connectors, you most likely didn't touch the rear housing of your caps, which if that's the case, leave be, because the bulb and also the internal 8.7 connector spade connectors are routed inside the headlights with the rear housing caps. So if that's the case, leave this alone. This will leave the 9006 connector to be connected to your ballast. So this connector, what we recommend, what has already been done on your vehicle is most likely connected. Of course, if you have to look for the engraving positive and negative to make sure the polarity alignment is correct. However, this is already the system that you already had with your initial headlight set order, which we're introducing the HID decoders into the equation. So that being the case, I'm assuming that once you receive this decoder that you wired it in a similar fashion the way we've done to power your current setup, which I'm just going to go ahead and briefly go about that right now. So you unplug the 9006 connector from the bulb and from the ballast so that you can add this into the equation. So that being said, pretty much, of course, the male will need to go with the female, and being that you can see the engraving for positive and negative, although it might be very hard to see. You do see one side plus and one side negative, so make sure the red wire goes with the plus and the black wire goes with the negative side. So if that's the case, it would need to go this way connected. Alright, so you bear with me one second, get this connected real quick. There it goes. So that's connected. You're left with this 9006 connector. Also, be very careful to make sure that you have the polarity correct. If you plug it one way and it doesn't work, you can just find yourself that you need to unplug, flip this around, plug it back in to get it working again, just to get the polarity alignment throughout the whole HID system correct. So that being said, assuming that this side come in polarity, just on your side be mindful for the polarity. So if you have the HIDs working, you have the polarity alignment correct. So once everything is connected, you have already a closed circuit system right now. So everything is in one loop. So what my concern is at this moment is any of the 9006 connectors, which will be this point, also this point, will be coming loose in contact, preventing the low beam from functioning the way that it should be. So again, if you have any of these HID components hanging from the chassis, either zip tied, whatnot, it would be my greatest suggestion to go ahead and check these 9006 connections. If you have the whole system already connected, please bear with me. If you have them zip tied, whatnot, I would suggest to ask you to go ahead and move the HID module around, slightly tugging on it to see if the 9006 connector, when you tug on these connections, if you see your HID low beam intermittently going on and off, definitely it's just the pins between the 9006 connectors and its pin slots just not making contact at that moment, which means the low beam pretty much is not being supplied with power. In regards to this, do you mind actually following up up with us in regards to seeing if the case of yours will be anything relating with the 9006 connector having connectivity issues. If so, then we would like to identify where the connection issue concern happens so that maybe we can have this either the pin slot closed in or have it replaced so that everything's better connecting for you to have your low beams working fully at all times. Again, hopefully this video documentation gives you an overview in regards to which connections to check, because I would like to say that it might be the 9006 connector with its pin and its pin slot just not quite coming in good contact with each other. My experience, I haven't had too many issues with these male and female connectors, so ideally I would love to check with this if in the case that you did not touch the insides of your headlights to mess with the internal H7 connectors. This concludes the video documentation. Thank you so much for your time.